Hi, I'm Chris Martin. I'm the urban forester here at OSU on the Stillwater campus. And today we wanted to discuss planting a tree. Here on campus we're really trying to increase our diversification and size and species. And so this morning we're going to talk about a magnolia, and it's a containerized plant. So we're going to go through the steps of how you do that. First off, we want to talk about when you're planting a tree, you really want to match the tree to the site. That's really important. It's going to be there for its life, so you really wanted to give it a good head start by starting with an appropriate species for the site. Here at Theta Pond is where we are this morning. It's a little bit more acidic and a little bit wet, so we went with a magnolia. There's plenty of them around here along with bald cypress, which both do well in that condition. So you want to match the site first. The next thing is the quality of the tree. You want to try to get the best quality you can. You want to look for a straight trunk. Really not many broken branches. It happens in shipping some, but you really want a straight trunk, uniform trunk, with no leaning or cankers or knots or curves in it. And then we'll talk about what we do when we take it out of the container. Digging the hole, I guess, is the biggest starter, right? Everybody thinks you just get a tree, you buy it, you plant it, you dig a hole and throw it in there. Really, you want the hole to be about 2 to 3 times the width of the tree. It really helps just kind of give it a good area of soft, loose soil to help establish. And then the other important thing is, along with the tree being, seeing the root flare, you really want it to be above grade. Here with the containers, we find that you can put it 2 inches above grade and it normally doesn't settle too much. Some of the times it will, but you really want it to be above grade just in case it settles a little. And then with containers, they normally have more girdling root issues than B&B trees do, simply because it's in a container, it hits the wall and it circles. So when we take it out, we really want to look at that. If we need to, we're going to cut the roots some or loosen them up a little bit just so that it'll give them a better chance. You don't want them to circle, because if you plant it like that, it's going to continue to grow like that. So you want to cut them or loosen them up so they can spread out. So this is our magnolia, and one of the things you want to think about when you're putting the tree in is that it's really important to go back with a native soil. There's a lot of talk in the past about putting gravel in or compost and stuff like that, and it really doesn't help. It actually can be a hindrance. It can cause water to sit and hold in there. So you really want to go back with the native soil. That's what it's got to spend its life in, so that's what you want to put back in. And then the other thing, especially with containers, I mentioned the girdling roots, and you can tell by this one there's not necessarily girdling, but they're wrapped around a bit. So we want to try to just scrape it if we can. Scrape them free. You can cut it some of the times with a handsaw or something, but I really like, if you can, just scrape it and kind of loosen them. You can pull them apart. That way you don't want them to be wrapping around like this. You really want them to be kind of out straight. So just kind of wiggle it around a bit, loosen up the soil. And with this one as well, you can see it might be hard to tell, but it looks like this side is a little buried. So I mentioned the root flare. You really want that to be exposed and not covered. So we'll just kind of shake it out a little bit and loosen it up. And you can tell it's a little bit more exposed, and it was a little covered here. And we'll probably want to snip these right here around the trunk that's girdling. We'll want to clip this root because as it grows, it would end up girdling the trunk. And then we'll probably clip this off too. It looks like the root has come up, and so as time goes on and the root grows, it could end up girdling. So we'll want to go ahead or pushing against the trunk. So we'll want to go ahead, and that may seem like a lot of roots, but if you look in here, it has plenty of roots. So one isn't going to really do as much damage as compared to leaving it. It could really do a lot more damage by leaving it later. And it's really important too to remember that as you loosen these and we spread them out like that, and the reason you dig the big hole is so that it'll establish and they'll grow out. Most of the roots, or 90% of the roots, are in the top 18 inches of the soil or so. So it's kind of people don't really understand that it's not a mirror image. The roots spread more laterally than they do deeply and down. And one last thing to think about before you start shoveling the soil in is a lot of times containerized trees are staked. So you really don't want to leave them on as well. So it's best to cut them off at this point. You can just take hand snips or a knife even. You just want to be careful. You don't want to cut into the tree. And and it can happen. But if you pay attention and just cut straight, hopefully you'll prevent that. But you want to take these off because a lot of people forget it with staking on the tree, and with these, they can girdle it as well if you leave them on for too long.